So let's talk about Xero's Find and Recode function. Now, a lot of people who are not really familiar on using these kind of accounting systems that are on the cloud, they are always afraid of trying it because they always ask me, what if I make a mistake? What if I mess up and make record a lot of things in the wrong way? Can I still edit those transactions? That's a big concern that I always get from people who are not familiar on how these things work. Well, the good news for you guys is that since these accounting systems are making everything easy for us, yes, the answer is yes, you can definitely edit these transactions. Any type of transaction in Xero can be editable. It's just that not everything can be voided or erased. Some transactions can only be voided or sometimes even just archived. But when it comes to editing, it's very easy for you to edit a transaction. For example, if you do have an invoice in here that you want to get rid of, let's say this one is a weird one. I think this is another thing that we did on another video. You can definitely void this particular invoice if you needed to, or you can just edit this transaction. Now, some people would actually have some concerns about that. So if this is something that you can easily edit, then your accounting data is actually in danger. That's not really how it works because, yeah, there are restrictions that we can put on the user access so that they could be limited to editing transactions, but internal control will always come in. Now, the good news for you is that every time a specific user edits a transaction inside Xero, there is actually a permanent historical track on all of those edits. So if we can see, look at this specific invoice and zoom into the history and notes, you can see here that all of the things that happened in recording, editing this transaction are all here. You can see who the user is that did the recording, when was it done, and what are the specific edits that has been performed. So let's say if I edit this and change the amount, I think I can still change the amount. Let's put 700 in here. Their purpose is to increase the invoice and get some bigger cash from the client, but they will only remit the smaller amount, the correct amount to you. So that is actually privilege. So if I do this and click update, if my access level permits me to do so, you can actually do it. However, once you check the history and notes here, all users, I make them aware that all of these edits are actually being recorded and you cannot erase these history and notes here. Okay, that's the beauty of it. These are permanent records that nobody, even advanced users or the highest level super users of Xero, they cannot edit these historical trace of these transactions. So that is the safe part. Now, if you need to edit these things one by one, it is possible. But there are instances wherein there are a lot of transactions that you actually need to do some massive editing. Let's say there was a huge mistake done by a bookkeeper or the one doing the records. They've put everything into a specific account or assigned them to a specific customer and you need to do some massive correction out of that transaction. So, or those sets of transactions. Now, we do have this feature called Find and Recode, wherein you can do massive editing of different transactions inside Xero by utilizing that function. How do you get into that? You just need to go to the Accounting tab, and then under the at the bottom of it, you see Find and Recode. So this is where Find and Recode comes in. So if you click Find and Recode, you can actually do some filtering of the transactions that you have in Xero. Let's say, I want to look at some transactions that are under the entertainment expense account. So we can put a condition of filter here. You have multiple ways of, or multiple you have multiple categories that you can utilize here. Let's say I want to select the account is entertainment expense, so I can select that entertainment. And once I click search, it will give me all of those entertainment expenses that I can have some edits into. Now, if I want to filter this further, I can put some multiple conditions to it. Let's say we add a date range. I only want to see those entertainment transactions that are within March or May period. So we just need to select here the date. We put 1st of May to the 31st of May and click search, and it will focus my attention into these two transactions that are currently recorded under the entertainment expense account. Now, what I can do here is I can select all or some of these transactions, and I have the option here to recode these transactions. And there are three options that we can recode on these transactions. We can edit the contact name if, let's say, they have been associated into a specific contact, or there was a duplication of contact but just a difference of two or one or two letters. We can merge those transactions by recoding them using the Find Recode function, or we can also put them on a different account. Let's say I want them to be part of the general expenses, let's say, for some reason. I can do that. And then if you also want to change the tax rate, let's say they were all recorded as non-VAT transactions. This time I want to record them as VATable transactions. We can utilize this Find and Recode function for that. So let's say that's what I want to do. I want to transfer them to general expenses, and then I want to make sure that they are all, they are currently on tax exempt. So I want them to be tax on 8.75% based on the settings of the demo company. Of course, you can definitely edit that. So once you get, put all of those recoding transaction, recoding metrics, then we just need to put here review, and then it will ask you to confirm. And once you do that, all of those transactions will now be recoded properly. Now, the beauty of this is that there is actually a recode history. Okay, so if you want to see what happened, if you utilize this function of Find and Recode, you have a summary in here of what happened, what did you do, so this was recoded to this specific account, etc., etc. And you can use this as a guide if you need to revert that back massively. Again, let's say the Find and Recode function was used mistakenly and did some further error, then you can actually utilize this recode history to trace back everything, and then you can use that to reverse things to its correct order. So that's the beauty of Find and Recode. And keep in mind, everything that you edit here, regardless if you edit it individually per transaction or utilizing the Find and Recode, that is something that will be put part of the history of that transaction. Every edits will be marked permanently as part of the historical trail of each and every transaction. So if you need something, a tool inside Xero that would do some massive corrections or recoding or migrating those transactions from one account to another or one contact to another, then you have Find and Recode at your disposal. I hope that helps. If it does, subscribe.